Hey, everybody, this is Ryan Taylor from Do You Speak Drum. Tonight, we have an amazing drum circle facilitator who's been doing this for, you could probably help me fill that in, a long time. I've been seeing your work for the last 15 or 20 years, I think. Mr. John Yost is with us tonight. He's with Remo, and you also work with Godfather Hall, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
Yes. Good evening, everybody. John Yost here.
Thank you. Just fill us in, tell us. Basically, what I want to know is what got you started and what you're doing. What was your influence? What was that sparking moment when you're like, this is what I have to do?
It was a little gradual. I started playing French horn when I was in third or fourth grade, maybe fifth, and that met its demise on the stairs of my house. Um, and my parents, I'm the middle of nine kids,
Wow.
they had decided that every kid would play an instrument or do some type of performing arts. My
Mm-hmm.
sisters were pretty involved in dance, gymnastics. We all did gymnastics. And So they said, well, you have to play an instrument. What's it going to be? And I said, well, I want to play those drums.
Oh, there it is. Yep.
And, you start in concert band and they let you play, some crash cymbals and some bass drum a little bit.
Yep.
If you do well with
Triangle. Yeah.
those, you get to play a little bit of snare drum. If you
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
well with that, you get to play a cymbal and a snare drum at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and, eventually that led me to drum kit, which led me to doing a lot of playing around town. Uh, Went to college for a degree in music.
Mm-hmm.
When I was at the second school I went to, they're like, "Oh, you should play marimba. It's good for you. You learn melody and
Yeah.
harmony and all." And so I did that, and during that whole time in college, I was playing drum kit with bands, rock, funk, jazz, blues, punk,
Mm-hmm.
uh, techno, new wave, whatever was happening at the time. And one day I was by the lake, Lake Michigan in Chicago, and there were some Afro-Cuban dudes throwing down. A guy got up to go smoke, and I said, "Hey, can I play those bongos?" He's like, "Oh yeah, yeah, sure, okay, sure." So he let me play the bongos, and 3 hours later, the girl I'm with is like, "Let's go, let's go, let's go," and I'm like, "Let's go. It's been 10 minutes."
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yep.
No, it's been 3 hours,
Yep.
and
Transcends time, man. Yep.
yeah, it was a totally different experience than playing two and four all night while the guitar player's solo and everybody takes a solo. And when you take a solo as a drum set player,
Mm-hmm.
everybody goes off the stage and you know
Yeah. Yeah.
has little recreational whatever, and then
Yeah.
comes back and you play the rest of the night without stopping.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it felt like total freedom and like time had stopped, and I was completely in the moment the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that that was a powerful experience. So at the time, I was teaching music for the Chicago Park District as a music instructor, and I started calling all my students that played percussion and said, "Hey, bring some, bongos or tambourines or whatever you got, and hand drums, and we'll jam." So, and I'm putting ads in the paper. This is pre-internet,
Oh,
and
sure.
and this woman shows up, and at the end of the night, she says, "Wow, that was a great drum circle." I'm like, "That's it. That's a great name for it." It's like, "Oh yeah, aren't you into the Dead?" I'm like, "No,
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
I like Genesis and Rush and
There
Gentle
you
Giant."
go, right there. There it is. Yep.
And so I really wasn't following the Dead or that
Mm-hmm.
scene. And at least I knew it was called the Drum Circle. And I was hosting drum circles, but I didn't know anything about hosting drum circles. I just wanted to jam. I was chasing the dragon, looking for that moment where it clicks and everybody's in the groove and everybody is, using music as a pure language to express
Absolutely.
what they're feeling, what they're hearing, and what they can contribute in the
Hmm.
moment.
I love that you're saying that. When we do our drum circles and clinics and session workshops, the list goes on. Down here in the Dallas area, um, I'm always telling everyone who comes to use that as an extension of your voice box, of your vocalization, because a lot of people, and I'm sure you've been in the game a long time, you'll find a lot of people, depending on the demographic or where they come from, they may have a hard time vocalizing what they want to express. It's always the, I'm worried about what the guy next to me is going to think or going to say, and we have to put that down. That equality has to step in. So I love that you're using exactly what this platform is for, the power of drumming and rhythm as a means of communication to, I mean, pretty much anybody and everybody. I've done drum circles in Latin America. I've done drum circles in Greece, um, different parts of the world, and I've picked up verbally how to speak both languages. But I've seen drum circles in parts of Africa where they don't speak English. It's not spoken. But you just lay down anything, something, and people will pick it up. And now two people are having that conversation, and two becomes four, four becomes eight. As I'm sure you've got yourself a whole conversation going on, and it sounds like, if put together well, not so chaotic, that it sounds like one voice when you have a drum circle that's being led really, really well, if you know what I mean, and everything is together and everything is orchestrated where it should be. Then all those instruments come together and it's one voice. That's how it affects me. I love being in the circle in the middle of it and just letting everyone go. You know, what is it for you? What is the best moment that you have when you're leading or when you sit back? Because what I'll do sometimes is, when I get the group in a groove, I'll pull back and let them enjoy what they're doing. What is just the best time for you when you're in the middle of a set?
Um, well, there's lots of best times,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
sometimes it's after. Um,
yeah, sure.
but um, mainly, it's about when people are actively listening. Once they're actively listening and using their notes to make space for other people.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're having a conversation, I'm talking and then you're talking,
Mm-hmm.
correct? So let me shut this phone off. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
No, you're good.
And it's not just me expressing myself.
Right.
It's us exchanging ideas and exchanging expressions
Mm-hmm.
and sharing, right? So the best moments are when people are really using their notes to play meaningful things. And sometimes it's more of a feeling than it is maybe an idea, right? When the mind shuts off and we're completely in the moment and we're sharing a, a common groove, a common, bond that happens when people actually are in the moment of creation
Mm-hmm.
together. So, you know, um, it's super powerful. And I've seen it and used it in so many different ways, in so many different contexts, where I have been asked to do a program for one reason or another. And really, we're holding a container for
Mm-hmm.
creativity to emerge. And the concept of emergence is something that's really amazing too, where you can be in a space of uh where it's coming out of maybe some kind of cacophonous thing, and it emerges, learning how to make those moments happen with uh covert facilitation, or just learning how to set the stage for those things to emerge
Hmm.
is it takes a lot. Sometimes knowledge, sometimes bravery,
Hmm.
but typically, it's not just dumb luck,
Yeah.
which it's interesting to see different drumming cultures, shall we say, and each drum circle you might go to might have their own specific culture of
Sure.
drumming.
Sure.
And it's interesting to see how other people may consciously or other than consciously create try to create this platform for these things to happen, this container.
Hmm.
And hope lots of times they're just hoping they get lucky, and they just keep trying, which in itself, if you do something a trillion times, you know you're going to get lucky sooner or later.
Sure.
But rather than just being lucky, being intentional about it,
Hmm.
right? And creating a place where people can feel comfortable sharing and also feel comfortable being guided if it needs guiding, right? Knowing that you're there to help them get to those places.
Right.
And that typically isn't a um, acknowledged thing verbally. It's not like everybody, you before your drum circle, look, I'm the leader and
Yeah.
I'm going to do this because I'm going to
Right.
try to, get you to that
Hmm.
place where everything happens. Um, but you are creating that trust with the group as a facilitator if you're
Absolutely.
facilitating
Yeah,
to get to
absolutely.
that point.
Yep.
Um, yeah.
No, I completely agree. You're setting, just off the tail end of what you're saying. I mean, you're creating that place for them. You're set. You bring everything that you have, all of your magic and your medicine. You're setting that place for them so they can be vulnerable if they need to be, so they can open up and express it on one of these guys back here. And I love that you're saying that. So that's some pretty deep stuff. I mean, you've opened up a few things for me to look at as a facilitator myself, because there's so many different avenues that one can go when putting these events together. But I got to ask you, when you're in the groove or you're thinking about putting something together, what's your favorite rhythm? What's your always go to rhythm? I think every DCF has that go to rhythm. What's yours?
Mm. Well, it really depends on what's happening and,
Yeah.
who's holding what does the circle need in that moment,
Hmm.
right? Do they need a foundation? Do they need what do they need? It might be pulse,
Yeah.
might not be a drum,
Yeah.
might be a shaker, might be anything
Absolutely.
that will help the group to connect,
Hmm.
um, and fill in the gap of maybe what maybe is not there, or depending, some people may be struggling on where the time is, some people may be still deciding what time signature we're in. Not that it
Right.
needs to be thought about,
Sure.
it just needs to be felt. It was pretty
Absolutely.
funny the other day. uh I think I was at PASIC or something like that, and some guy's like, oh yeah, I was doing this groove in 7, man. And I'm like, I wasn't counting.
Yeah.
He's like, and you just came in and just flowed right with it. I thought we were gonna have problem like doing that. And I'm like, no, it's just about where, where I feel the pulse.
Exactly. Where do
It
you
doesn't
where do you
really
fit in?
matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, is it what it is. It matters, can we play together?
Hmm.
Can we feel a common pulse in the same place? And that's if we can't feel a pulse in the same place, we can't play together. And then
Yep.
it's crash and burn,
Yep.
lots of times. And that can be fun, but that was, like there's been circles that I just would not go to for a while because it was too much crash and burn.
Yeah.
Nobody was listening, right? And at a certain point, it's like if you're not setting it up for success, your opportunity to get lucky is even less,
Hmm.
right? If you set a circle and there's 100 people and you're having one circle, well, the laws of physics are going to say that you are not going to be able to play together.
Oh, absolutely.
If your
Yeah.
circle is, 50 feet wide,
Mhm.
it doesn't
Yeah.
work. It
Yeah.
really doesn't work. And people can have this romantic idea of that's the way it is, and but it defies physics, you
Mhm.
know. And lots of times I come in to do corporate, gigs, whether it's a performance or some type of, very specialized event group. Oh, well, we want this drummer up on this balcony over here, and we want this drummer over here. And I'm like, they're not going to play together at the same time.
Mhm.
That's just not going to work.
Mhm.
But I can have this drummer say something, and then that drummer say something, and then that drummer say something, that drummer say something. And then once we get together, we can all groove together.
Yeah.
But, um, you know, the event planners and some people, the creatives may have these visions, right?
Yes, they
Oh my
do.
God, wouldn't this be cool? And yeah, it will
Mm.
be, and it can be. It's like when you see the Olympics and you see 1,000 drummers, laid
Yeah.
out,
Yeah.
in China or something. Well, yeah, it's pretty awesome,
Yeah, it
but you
is.
have to have it set up in a way to succeed. You can't just,
Mhm.
not going to be dumb luck.
Yeah, that is true. Whenever I do corporate gigs, I mean, the large, it's funny when you said the 100, body count drum circle. The first one I ever did of that size was here in Dallas. As a matter of fact, the headquarters is literally right across the street. The American Heart Association is based here in North Texas. And I got hired to do a drum circle for them. It's been 6 or 7 years. And I was still, really gun ho about, oh, yeah, I can do this, because I had done, corporate events before, but not that size. I have the gear. I had all the gear. I did exactly what you said. I put everybody in a giant circle, and God love their hearts. I mean, they could see, they couldn't see I was struggling, but it's like, you're right. You can't maintain what's happening 75 feet away when you're working with group A over here. So I do that. I call it the onion, you know, little ring, middle ring, outside ring, and, a couple of entryways that way. Try to keep all the big drums in the center, so that way it kind of holds the pulse, and then you have everything going on the outside, and that's just worked out a lot better. I did a gig up in Cincinnati. It was about 120, and it was three rings, and everybody could hear what was happening. There was no struggling going on, so that's something that a lot of people don't think about when they're new to the game. And that's why, a person like yourself that's been doing it for so long, these are just little trigger advice points that you can give that a person would never think of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, these things, we teach. The Arthur Hall, I work with Arthur. I'm a global trainer for Village Music
Yeah.
Circles, and these are things that we teach people that want to learn to facilitate drum
Yeah.
circles. We don't have to reinvent wheels. We don't have to rediscover all these things. We can stand on the shoulder of giants. And, Arthur's standing on Babatunde's shoulders, and
Mm-hmm.
we're all standing on Arthur's and all the other peoples that have been before us.
Yeah.
So um, it's just sharing, the knowledge and best practices, and really just understanding physics, because the bottom line is, if you hit this bass drum over here and 100 feet away you hit that bass drum, you can't play in time together,
Sure.
and I can't really hear you at the moment that you hit, and you can't hear
Yeah.
me. The best we can do there is visually watch each other and match each other, and by the time we end up hearing each other, it's going to be in a different place anyway, if we
Exactly.
actually can hear that person over our own sound,
No.
right? And that's a lot of times what happens in these, you know uh these unstructured situations,
Yeah.
where, or just, you know I did 3 groups of 2,000 people at the Field Museum in Chicago. It's the room with the dinosaurs,
Yeah.
Sue.
Yeah.
It's a cavernous place. Literally, it's a huge cave with caves shooting off all over, and everything reverberates. But when you stop 2,000 people at one time,
Oh, wow. Oh, man. Yeah, that was
everybody feels it. And that was a stage, jumbotrons, and people in audience style seating. That was the way it had to be done.
Hmm.
We made it work. I had a lot of people assisting me. I had low drums spaced in strategic places and made them watch each other. Also had a couple on the stage, mic'd up, so that we could all just visually see each other and match that beat. And really, that's what it's about.
Yeah.
Once we need to feel that pulse.
Yep.
If we don't feel the pulse, it's free jazz.
Yep.
And people who play free jazz are usually the top musicians, because they can feel implied time, and they
Hmm.
can also cut the time any way they want at any time,
Yep.
right? And know when the other person's doing it where they're at.
Yeah. And jump right
So,
back in.
but try doing that with the mayor and 2,000
Oh my gosh.
kids who are winners of some science Olympiad or something,
That's
right?
awesome. That's
they're,
awesome.
they're not going
Let,
to follow.
that is awesome. Let me ask you, have you been traveled anywhere, Africa, Latin America, any place like that, gotten any formal, say, indigenous rhythmic training at all?
Oh yeah, I've been to Africa a couple times.
Cool.
First time I went with Michael Marcus and
Hmm.
Mbemba Bangura, and the second time I went with Mamadi Keita. I studied in Japan.
Wow.
I've been in Japan 5 times. I play, teach, and perform taiko drumming.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, I've uh, studied a little bit in Puerto Rico. I've studied
Hmm.
from all kinds of different cultures, and I would not call myself, a conguero or anything like that.
Yeah.
I play some djembe, I play some taiko, I play some
Hmm.
drum set. Those are kind of my main things. And I've been doing a lot of gong stuff lately.
Hmm.
I'd say in the last, I don't know, 7, 8 years, I've been doing a lot of, yeah, a lot of sound immersion type things. My wife plays crystal bowls,
Okay.
metal bowls, and other percussion, and I play a bunch of gongs and whatever else I can
Do you
find.
do you find it to be a completely different vibe and pulse when you're going from leading a drum circle of 20 people to 1,000, and now you're sitting and playing the gongs and the bowls? I mean, both extremely powerful events, but I'm sure there's a completely different vibe, if I'm not mistaken, when you get behind the gongs and you're doing your
Yeah.
work.
Um, yes and no. I would say, you're working with energy,
Hmm.
and if you're facilitating correctly, right, the circle's telling you what it needs, right? And it's a dance. You are, it's an energetic dance, right? Where you
Hmm.
are following the circle, following the circle, following you, right?
Hmm.
It's the same with the gongs and the bowls. If I'm playing the gong by myself, just me and the gong, the gong's playing me, right? And uh, it's that same continuum, right? Now, if my wife's also playing, then there's that too, right? There's that energy and there's that uh, input coming in, right? And you have to feel what's happening, and you have to have what we call radar in the Arthurian world. You
Hmm.
have to have your radar on. And what are you listening with? You're listening with your whole body, your ears, your eyes, all of your senses, because you really are reading the room and looking for those gifts that happen in the moment of magic. And that could be as simple as, you know, a little girl sharing a moment with her mother and doing something silly. And that's something you may want to feature and bring out, right?
Hmm.
When you're playing gongs, uh, your instruments change in different rooms. The reflection that comes back to you is not exactly the same as it might be in your living room. So it is that same kind of continuum of energy, feedback loop is kind of the way I look at it.
Like reciprocation.
I'm sorry.
Like reciprocation. It's just they feed one another. It's going back and forth.
Yeah, and it's a conversation as well. Right? It's an
Absolutely.
energetic kind of conversation, and you know, are you leading it or is it leading you?
Hmm.
And the answer is both. And and that's part of the really engaging thing or uh, force that kind of makes me want to do more of it.
Yeah.
That's what excites me.
Yeah.
In that it's different every time.
Hmm.
Same people, same room, same instruments, different every time
Oh, absolutely.
because it's a different energy,
Yeah.
right? And it's the same with the gongs, same people, same room. It's totally a different thing. And it's also not scripted, right? Just like drum circles are, you can do your best to have a plan.
Oh,
Good luck, man, because
doesn't almost never works.
yeah, and but there are concepts, pacing and leading that we
Sure.
teach, and it's real, um, these things are observable
Mm.
and they are repeatable in that you can create those containers to help yourself reach those places in a successful way.
Hmm.
It's always going to be different. Um, and there are other extenuating circumstances and factors, right? People coming in and out of the room, other things happening in and around the space. Um, you never know. So that's part of the journey.
I love hearing all of this. I mean, because when people attend a drum circle, people are a part of it. They never, as far as I know, I've never. Let me redact to start up. People never come up and ask me all of the logistical things that you've just shared about a drum circle. How do you control the room, and how is it that this has to speak over here and the found it. They just, I love what you're doing. High five. I mean, I've never seen a person leave a drum circle in a bad mood. I've seen them come in kind of, but when they leave, it's a complete. And I love that you're bringing that out and you're talking about the foundations and the logistical side of it. So thank you for sharing that. That's
Well,
good
it's not
stuff.
control either. It's not about control.
Yeah.
It's really it's about making it easy, right? That's what facilitation is. It's about
Mm-hmm.
making it easy, making it accessible, and guiding, right? And it shouldn't be about manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I'm doing, a 20-minute drum circle at Lollapalooza or a flash jam or something in some massive festival, yeah, it's facilitainment. It has to be
Mm-hmm.
because I have to be big. I have to capture people's attention so that
Absolutely.
they'll
Yeah.
follow me. And I
Yeah.
have to build rapport and I have to be funny and
You got to be on all the
there
time.
has
Yeah.
to be some type of show
Mm-hmm.
that gets buy-in, right? But that's not what it's about, right? It it's looking like it's about me, right? But it's not about me. It's about me getting the energy out so I can get it back from them.
Mm-hmm.
So that when they walk away, they were like, holy,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. You nailed it.
They're
100%.
like,
Yeah.
that was an
That was
incredible experience.
incredible. Yeah. I love your energy. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
it's about, creating that moment, if it's for a festival, that ties that feeling, that incredible feeling in with that festival so that the person remembers, oh, yeah, man, I went to Summer Camp Music Festival and it was incredible. And then I was walking by the Soul Shine
Right.
tent
Yeah.
and this guy handed me this tambourine. The next thing you know, I'm playing drums and and just, I never made music before. And I found out I could make music
Yeah.
And oh my God,
The empowerment. Yeah.
went from, well, and it went from being a spectator to being a participant, right? To to sharing an experience with other people, right? Which
Absolutely.
is why people go to shows anyway, right?
Hmm.
You want to have that communal experience with the soundtrack of your life.
Yeah.
The music that feeds your soul,
Most
that
definitely.
that you connect to and your tribe.
That's awesome. You're striking on every chord, brother. I mean, that's exactly the same reason I do it. I'm pretty, I guess, entertaining myself. If you ask the people here locally that have worked with me, and you're right, it's not about all eyes on me. It. You're exactly right. It feeds me energy, so I can continue to give it back. And not only that, for me, it's to get more people hooked into it because I want to bring people into this, and I want them to see that it's enjoyable. They can relax and let their hair down. There's no judgment. I don't believe in judgment, especially in an event like that. So if they see that everyone's having a good time, because they're going to be reserved until someone stands up and does it. So if they see that everyone's having a good time, that they're more apt to want to come in and let the energy that's not serving them just kind of roll off their back and just have a great time. And that's the number one reason why I do what I do, is so people can feel from it. And you're hitting everything. So I appreciate that, man. You're speaking. I've got one last question for you before we go. Okay, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Do you speak drum?
Mostly.
I love it.
Yeah,
I
mostly
love it.
that's what I do. Um, yeah, and you know, I've never met a drum that I didn't like.
Yeah,
Some are more of a challenge to get sound out of, but
yeah.
uh, yeah, for sure. I speak some drum.
I love it. I love it. Brother John, thank you so much. And I appreciate this. I will put this up the next day or so. And hopefully I'll get to come up to Payson and see you at some point. It'd be good to get up there. I used to live in Indy and was like literally a mile from there and just never had a chance to go in. So, but best of luck with that. And congratulations on the last event that you had up there. And just keep it going, man. Just keep doing what you do. They love it. Just keep doing it.
Well, you can submit to present,
Oh, I'm gonna.
then you get a free pass.
Yeah, baby.
So, for the weekend, I'm part of the interactive drumming committee. I'm the co-chair.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
Uh, Basically, submissions are either online now or going up very quickly,
Yeah.
and people submit to present a program. Um, with the interactive drumming committee, what we do is all of our things are interactive. So they're all playing along. Remo usually helps us get gear uh, between Remo and PAS so that we have a room full of gear all the time. All of the sessions that happen in that room, whether they're a Brazilian class, drumming class, or they're a, you know, Middle Eastern drum class,
Yeah.
or something to do with facilitating drum circles or what have you, those happen in that space. We do an opening drum circle, we do a closing drum circle, we do late night drum circles.
That would be
This year
awesome.
we did a little gong thing, and someone else did a gong thing, and um, yeah, it's really an incredible uh, organization.
Hmm.
The Progressive Art Society International Conference, that's what PASIC is,
Yep.
has everything you can imagine at the highest level of percussion and everything you can't imagine
I
at the
bet they
highest
do.
level
Yeah.
of percussion.
I bet
So,
it's fascinating.
yeah, I've seen people do things that I didn't believe were humanly possible
Right.
um, on percussion instruments and other things. But there's also, marching bands and steel drum bands and performances and concerts, and the idols of people's drum set players are there.
Oh yeah, I know Tommy Aldridge was up there one year. That's my guy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
they
Yep.
they they have everybody this
Yep.
year. Kenny Aronoff
Oh
and
sweet.
uh just there's 50 great drummers.
That is
Phil
awesome.
Collins' son was there this year,
Hmm. Nick.
shredding
Yeah.
out. and there's always some super hot shot uh, Afro-Cuban people, and there was this band called Red Barat there, which is totally phenomenal.
That's
They
awesome.
like horn section with a guy who plays Dole Indian.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah,
they got that like Bollywood funk going with a full horn section and drum set player, keyboard and killer bass player, and those kinds of things happen there. And then there's the hang,
yeah.
like you will hang with the greatest drummers on the planet, and everybody's cool because they're drummers.
Well, I appreciate that, brother. We'll get up there at some point, man. But thank you for tonight. Like I said, just keep spreading the love. Just keep doing it, and I appreciate it. And I will hopefully see you very soon.
Well, it's my mission, I
All right,
use
brother.
music as a tool to connect people to themselves and their communities. That's what it's about.
You're
So I
doing a
keep
fan.
it out.
You're doing a fantastic job, man. Keep it up.
Thanks, brother. Great
See you
talking to you.
soon. You too. Thank you, sir.
Peace.
Peace.